right. Hi guys. Hi
Hello.
guys. Solai.
Hi,
Good
Solai.
evening and
Hello.
good afternoon. Great. So 2025, here it is. For everyone tuning in, my name is Venugopal. A quick introduction about myself. I'm an information security guy. I've been in this industry for now, close to 24 or 25 years. Worked in various companies, started as a consultant, a bit of auditing, and I'm looking forward to this podcast going forward. So who's going to go next?
Hi, this is Solai Kumar. I'm a security practitioner, started back in 2010. So it's been almost 14 years, I would say, in information security field. So started with as a network engineer and then moved on to various kind of roles and having worked on across multiple kind of security products and technologies and currently working as a security architect in a major telecom firm.
I'm Sai Marwada. And I've been in the cybersecurity management and risk management governance, risk and compliance space. I got a bit of experience working in different verticals, different industry sectors. And currently I'm working as a cybersecurity lead for one of the e-commerce companies here in Australia.
Great, thanks, Sai. So we do have missing one person, Anshuman Goswami, who seems to be enjoying the beaches of Goa.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly. So we all know each other either directly or indirectly. I have had the privilege of working with Sai earlier, and Solai as well worked with Anshuman in two companies or three companies. I forgot how many companies I worked with Anshuman earlier. The objective, at least for what we started with this podcast, is to give aspirants who wants to come into cybersecurity. Now, in our field, at least, there is a huge dearth of talent. When I say huge dearth of talent, there is talent required and not many people to fill those roles. The landscape of information security is also scaling as technology evolves from your on-prem to cloud, now to AI, in future IoT, quantum computing. Infosec is going to go hand in hand with that because wherever there is a solution, there is going to be a security challenge as well. So we need people in this industry, and that's the reason why we started this podcast to guide them. But also, second objective is talk about all the latest happening in the information security, any new products coming into the market, which we would give our personal opinions on. Again, this is more for educational and information purposes. It's not a professional guidance or a consulting kind of guidance which we want to provide. I'm going to post a couple of questions. And so say, I know you very well, but how did you come into information security field?
Okay, so I'll go first. See, I mean that for me it was an completely surprise because I did my bachelor's in computer engineering, and as many in the computer engineering which I did back in India 2010 is the year when I passed out. So we do have very few subjects which are related to security, and we used to have something called a system security. And I was pretty interested into the security side of system security side of computing. But yeah, I never thought that I would take up that as my profession. When I started applying for jobs, I went for an interview and I applied for the information analyst position, but they rejected me saying that I'm overqualified since I come from the engineering background and they were looking for someone more from, bachelor's in arts or commerce background. And during that time, again, they called me back and I was not really sure what they thought, but they said, are you interested to pick up this role in information security? To be honest, I was completely blank as I didn't know anything about information security at that point. I was just looking at for a job and I really wanted to get some industry and business experience. I said, yes, I'll come down for the interview. That's when I met my first mentor and manager. He was the one who interviewed me. He explained to me quickly about the role of information security, what is involved in it. And I still remember the first question that I asked him, I need to stand in front of the gates or the door. He said, no, that doesn't fall into the information security domain. We do touch physical security, but more from the technology side of biometric. And also while auditing, we may check the visitor records and things like that. But no, we are not going to stand in front of gates or doors. So we are not security guards. And that's how I landed into my first job in information security. Luckily, I can connect in that role because of my interest as well in system security, which I gained in my last year of engineering. During my first few months, it was really kind of a question I always had. Is this the right profile? Is this the right job I'm doing? And every day I used to question myself, is it the right profession that I should continue myself down the line? But yeah, I mean, that was really, I would say, the best decision and the best thing that happened to me. I entered the information security domain and never looked back or thought of moving into a different profession or a career path.
I think we are kind of lucky because we got in at a very crucial time. It was still on uptick, but now it is stable and it's one of the probably hot domain where people want to get into that. Thanks for the background, Sai. So, Salai, how did you actually come into information security?
I think to begin with, was back then when we were doing our studies, college studies, right? Back then they introduced some additional subject, especially around basics of networking, right? So we all studied multiple subjects in our curriculum, be it DB, application, and many other topics, right? So when they introduced a full-fledged kind of networking course, so that is when we learned some sort of basics about networking. So after that, we landed in a job, of course, based on what we have learned. I landed a networking job. So I did a lot of networking related configuration, troubleshooting. There's so many other kind of, uh, activities in regards to networking, be it configuring some dynamic routing, static routing, replacing a router and so on. Since security is a vast field, I started with networking. Slowly, what I found is security is like a ocean. So we cannot define what the security is all about. So it is touching us everywhere, right? I think be it right from your mobile that you use. What happened back was I have started with the networking. After that, I slowly moved to sort of network firewalls and VPN gateways. After a while, I recognized that no, this is security is not any kind of specific definition or specific product, right? It's a collection of uh, you know amalgamation of multiple things, right? That's entirely you call it as security, right? So slowly I picked up one by one, and after that you will do some sort of mapping those controls, right? Like network security, endpoint security, email security, and so on. So as and when you learn new products and when you build the portfolio, so it gives some sort of feel, yes, you know, we are securing the digital world, right? So that's what the feel I got. So I think initial 2 years I spent in networking. After that time onwards, I has spent a lot of time in various other solutions, building new solutions or troubleshooting and deploying new projects for multiple customers, be it banking or public companies. Over the period of time, we tend to accumulate more information around security, and that's how we started doing certifications, vendor specific certification, vendor neutral certification. So over the period of time, almost I'm 14 years, yeah, in particular field, I feel like this is kind of, the journey. So where this is kind of the learning, whatever that you had is just a handful, right? You need to keep learning to have some sort of holistic view about the entire security. Yeah. So that's how I landed, and 14 years as a field engineer, project engineer, consultant, an architect, and engineering, so on, right? So many other fields. I mean, so many other kind of roles I played a key role there. Yeah, now currently I'm working as an architect, and yeah, so that's all the journey.
I think one good thing about Solai is that he worked in his first company for 8 years. Then I recruited him for the second company. As still in the second company, he's not moved out of it. Unlike us, who jumping companies like anything. Thanks for that background. So, how did I actually get into information security? I was a 2000 output from computer science degree, which is bachelor in computer science, and unfortunately, it was with a dot-com bust. And I was doing a course in NIT as well. It was something I want to do. Security, I never thought about that time. I wanted to start up like a couple of friends coming together and trying to do some projects. It unfortunately didn't work out. And December 13, 2002, we had a parliament attack on India. So that's when we also kind of call it quits. I was just sitting at home, and my mother said we had an old neighbor whom we knew was working in Infosys, and he had a startup. So he told, why don't you go and speak to him? See if he's interested. I went and spoke to him. He said, okay, I have a startup with all old Infosys people. If you want, you can come and join. I said I was good in website designing. So I went there. Uh, for a month or so, I was doing website designing. Suddenly, one day, I got my hands on a book called um, Network Security Fundamentals by Peter Norton. I was not a big reader, but that book I finished in 2 days. It was so interesting. It's a steady book. It's not a fiction novel, but I finished in 2 days, and that changed my life because I was so fascinated by all the various concepts he covered very briefly at the same time touching upon it. And he spoke about hacking as well. I heard of hacking back then in 2003. To actually read about it is amazing. Then I knew what that company was actually doing was information security. So that's how I started. Then I started getting a lot of projects in banking segment and various IT companies. I was there for 3.5 years. Then I had a switch and I did a different kind of role, pre-sales, which was interesting because I used to carry big firewall slides and go to companies, travel to Chennai, travel to Hyderabad, give demo of that, conducting this thing. It was a different. I was not a extrovert, so I never really enjoyed meeting people or giving demo pre-sales or something like that. And suddenly I got an opportunity to work with Microsoft, so more of a backend job where I felt comfortable. And slowly it evolved. As any one of you, I started as an probably an engineer, although the title was slightly different. I've been a consultant all throughout my life. By nature, I'm an engineer, so that's what I've been doing. So slowly evolved. Currently, I'm in my current roles. Touch wood, it happened. Infosec happened by chance, but later it became a choice, and there's no turning back. And for us, all of you will agree, there's never a dull day. Friday evening and Monday morning is similarly exciting, if not more, because we don't know what's going to happen on Friday evening. There could be an incident, or we enjoy each day. I would probably say uh, we don't work; we love what we do. So it's never work. It's more of an enjoyment because we love our jobs.
Good to know
Great.
about your background, how you landed in this particular cybersecurity field.
Yeah, we have done some crazy things. So I'm just sharing. There is this HSR layout back then. It was infested with mosquitoes, and I remember like on a Sunday night at 10:30 in the night, me and my colleague on a two-wheeler. I think I was riding the two-wheeler Canadiconda. My Canadiconda was sitting behind me with the open laptop, and we were doing presentation because we had to drop the laptop in my browser. It's not like today. It is too crowded. Back then, it was like only mosquitoes. So that you open your mouth, the mosquitoes goes to get into stomach. All nice memories, but that shaped us right what we are. Amazing journey
Yeah, I
for all
think
of us.
one interesting point back then when we were in field, right? So I think we need to travel to many places. When we're based in Bangalore, we used to travel to Goa, Hubli, Dharwad, Gulbarga, so many places, right? Back then, we used to bring those routers, right, by hand. So we have to collect it from the store and then we have to go to site and replace the router, right? Still, I remember the days where you just take the router, get into the bus, catch a bus, put it in that luggage carrier, go there and just replace it and get the old router back to the store, right? There was one time where, I kept the router on the top suddenly because of, the sudden break, the router has fallen, right, from the,
Oh, geez.
uh, from the luggage carrier. So I thought, I mean, that was kind of one very important call that for a bank. I thought something would have disturbed the entire system within that particular router, but luckily nothing has happened. So all the entire travel and the time that we spent didn't go in vain. So we were saved actually that time. Yeah. So we still carry,
Sorry
yeah,
to
we,
cut you
we
off.
carry those routers right, to the site, and then these are all kind of interesting stuff. Every day we used to learn, and there are some situations where in some bank where the network down for almost more than a week, and the bank manager was really kind of worried about their business and all that. So we have such customers, right? You go inside and you just try to see what actually the problem is. And after that, you want to do some sort of deep troubleshooting to fix that particular problem. And suddenly I was about to come out for a lunch, and then the manager locked me inside, saying that without solving this problem, we cannot go out.
Yep.
So that was kind of another experience. Like this, we had many experience, right? So that gave us many learning. I think we can keep on talking, right? Sharing all those experience, good
Yep. Yeah.
experience. I think it really shaped us. And we used to work day and night. We never see it's a day or night, right? Because when you're in field support, we used to go, even if it is a P1 high priority kind of tickets or anything, you have to go day and night and everything. It doesn't matter. So
It doesn't matter. But now, if somebody locks you in, it become an harassment. So now things have changed. But for us, it was part of job.
in
And I have a similar story. I lost a laptop on a bus trip from Mumbai to Delhi because I'd not slept for 3 days traveling in bus entire night. and then somebody stole the laptop, and I had to spend 3 nights in Pune police station just to get the complaint registered. That's when you realized like why encryption matters, why your laptop needs to be encrypted. But this is almost 20 years back, but all the learning.
Yeah. Let me ask one question to Venu because, as you said, you started 10 years before me. Not saying that you are older than us, but yeah, just to understand your perspective, like seeing 25 years, right? What sort of changes have you seen in cybersecurity over the last 25 years? Obviously, it's a big change in terms of like AI is everywhere. But if we go back a couple of years, when you started, and from then to now, what are the significant changes that you have seen in the cybersecurity space?
I think the most changes I've seen, Sai, is that mostly on the technology front, especially last 5 years, right? They're just like proliferated like anything, they're just multiplied. But I believe the fundamentals still rise the same. You control or work with information security with 3 fields: technology, people, and process. That has not changed. And the CSP tripod also still holds good. What you try to do is protect confidentiality, availability, and protect integrity.
Correct.
Uh, so only the technology complexity has gone ahead, and also the more people coming into work right now because IT force has also changed a lot more companies. Um, so you have challenge even the people front because recently I was talking about the statistics. 70 to 80% of the successful cybersecurity incident happened because of the phishing, and phishing is
Correct.
successful because of people. So the awareness is a big change. So more the number of people, more is the awareness gap, and similarly technology. I'll give you a good example. Back then we used to put a firewall to protect us, but now you put a firewall and if stops your business, that itself is a security risk, right? Because it's impacting availability. So that's where getting the balance is also important. Complexity of technology, more number of people. I think that's where the biggest changes happened, at least over a period of time.
On that, sorry, go ahead, say.
Yeah, I just want to ask your opinion on this. Obviously, you have also spent a decent amount of time, right? 14 plus years. One thing which I want to touch on is like when you said a very good thing and a significant achievement, I could say, is you have spent good amount of time in one company, like 8 years in your last company and now 6 plus years in the current company, right? What's the reason that makes you stick to that company? Is there your personal thing or do you have some criteria in your mind that and spend this much amount of time in a company? If that's the case, then why do you think that spending a significant amount of time in one company is important?
So I think that's a good question, right? I have been asked in many kind of forums. So I mean, when the first company when I joined, I was completely fresh and started from the basics, right? So what happened, when I'm here, when I look back almost for 14 years, right? So initial 8 years I spent one company, and the second, this is my second company. To start your actual contribution, it takes 1 or 2 years, right? For example, when you join one company, like completely, you have to understand the business model. So where exactly we are. So you have to see the entire climate, right? So 1 year is kind of not enough, I would say. So when you join some company, you understand the entire organization structure. After that, you will start your contribution. So there will always be some sort of trigger for everyone. So there will be priority for everybody, right? So I will have my own priority. You will have your own priority, right? So for me, I just put the initial basic learning is very important. The first company gave me very good learning. It's like you start with something new every day, and that push me to some sort of new challenges. And while looking at the challenge, you will have some pros and cons of sticking in the same company. For example, your remuneration, and you try to match your market compensation. So when we keep it aside, I feel like it's worth spending more duration in one company and understand the business model, also understand the technology, understand the customer service. Every day is new. It's like you will be for a first 2 3 years you'll be in one position, so that will give you some learning, and then you will get promoted, of course, right, to the next position. Again, that will bring some new challenges. At some point you feel like, okay, so now we have seen something here, so why don't we try something outside, right? Even I've been on site, and it was a very good experience. They gave me a lot of opportunity there. And then I realized, okay, yeah, it is a time to move to something different, right? So some different stream altogether, because you need to have, in my opinion, I need to be having some sort of good idea, not only about specific business, for example, not only enterprise, not only telecom, not only financial sector. So we should apply security lens into every kind of domain, right? This will give some sort of holistic view. And that's the only reason I stick for a long time. And of course, people, that is very important. In the company where we are going, also we should be very clear about what we are going to do because of my pay rise and other thing. If I move out, so it becomes a problem. I have seen many people who say market condition is not good. And, if I move from one company to other company, I'll get by default, I get some 30% hike. So which is good for one reason. But other thing which I felt is like money is not only the one primary kind of parameter which we need to look for. You have to look at various other things. For example, work-life
Right.
balance. So how are you learning?
Correct.
Going to spend because you're going to spend majority of the time in that particular company. Your entire day is spent in that particular company, which means you need to give equal importance to both your professional life as well as your personal life. In that, so I feel like I have made a right decision, right, in choosing the company. An initial company could be maybe I would have landed by chance, but second company when I choose, it's kind of okay. We should have the clear kind of vision. So what we need to do next?
Right. So if you have to summarize, then three important points that probably a key takeaway for any upcoming candidate in the cybersecurity. Like if you want to stick to one company, the major reasons would be like to understand the business, right? To understand the business completely. And second is to get the depth of knowledge, right? To get the complete depth of knowledge about cybersecurity. And third is the culture, the organization culture. That is very important. Plays a very important role because security culture is dependent on the organization culture. Security culture on its own, if the organization culture is not that great, so you'll not be able to build a great security culture. These are the three important points, which are the key things that will be a decision-making thing for anyone to decide to stay in the company, right? Perfect. So yeah, Venu, you want to add something?
Not add. I mean, I would definitely like to add. I mean, thing is that you need to choose the company and the people there because beyond you're going to spend maximum time with your colleagues, and if you don't like working with them, if you don't like the job you're doing, that means you're doing the wrong thing and you're in the wrong place. So better change that. I was lucky. I worked with some amazing people, and that's one of the reasons that we're still talking because I really enjoyed working with you, Sai, and also you, Solai. And I know,
Thanks,
like,
Venu.
we would probably work future in together as well. We don't know. So that's
Absolutely.
what. Do you have a question? I do have a question. Uh, since you're in Australia, since our objective is how do you help people understand getting into cybersecurity field? So, what do you think is key factors to get into cybersecurity in Australia for a guy is in India or even for a guy in Australia? What I've heard at least is that there is less number of cybersecurity professionals in Australia, especially quality ones. So, what is your
Absolutely. Australia as a country, in terms of technology, is uh, 3 to 4 years behind India. The population and the talent, whatever you say. And they were reserved all these years. And now, over the last 10 years, I can see a significant amount of growth in terms of immigration. They are welcoming immigrants from different parts of the world. And with immigrants, they are getting the best talent as well. Now, in terms of entering the cybersecurity profession in Australia, if you are based out of India and you have a dream and you want to pursue your cybersecurity career in Australia, there are a couple of ways you can do it. First, if you are ambitious to get a master's degree, you can apply for, some pretty big universities out here, University of South Australia, University of Adelaide, or University of Sydney, Melbourne, whatever university you get into. Every university now has got a cybersecurity degree. They do have something called as Masters in Cybersecurity and Risk Management. So that is a good starting point if you have adequate financial resources and the interest to pursue your master's. That's how you can enter the education space, learn about cybersecurity, and from there work towards getting into the cybersecurity industry. Because one thing which is very important in Australia and what Australians appreciate is social networking. And that is like, they would want to understand what's your knowledge, what you're interested in, and where do you see yourself down the line. So networking plays a pretty important role here in Australia. One thing which probably everyone should make a note who wants to, work in cybersecurity space in Australia. And the other part is I worked around 7 years in India in cybersecurity. And there is something called as, you apply for permanent residency. and sitting back in India. But for that, you had to make sure you clear the IELTS or PTE, which is the Pearson test of English, and IELTS is the International English Language Test. And you need to get some minimum scores to get eligible for applying to the cybersecurity occupation in Australia. And Australia has got this yearly thing of releasing the occupation list. So they have got certain list of occupations where they feel that they don't have adequate talent and they want the people from different parts of the world to apply. They provide visas to them, permanent residencies. So that's how I got the invite to apply for cybersecurity from South Australia. And when they send the invite, I applied and they accepted my invitation and asked me to apply for the PR. So that's how I applied for the PR. It took me around 2 years because you have to provide all your experience and everything. And the minimum criteria, what I would say is, you should at least have 5 years of experience back in India. The chances of getting a successful outcome of your visa application will be higher if you have around 5 to 6 years of experience. So yeah, get the experience, come here. And again, coming here, don't think that, you will be welcome with a job offer in the hand. So that's not the case. That's not the real scenario. You have to come here and pick up whatever you get. Because in Australia, they want you to first understand their culture, their work culture. They want to understand the people. All right. Like I said, people are the key aspects of information security. That applies here as well. What they want is to work anywhere. You can work in, a gas station. You can work in Domino's. You can work in McDonald's. That's fine. The very good thing I like about Australia is they don't care where you are working right now. You can apply to any position. I was working as a tech support after landing here in Australia. I worked for 1.5 years with Apple, not in cybersecurity, but into tech support. I was simultaneously applying for cybersecurity job opportunities because that is where my expertise belongs, right? And no one questioned me like why you're currently working in a tech support. What they assess you is basis on your knowledge on cybersecurity. That's a pretty good thing, which I really appreciate. In my last job, I had people coming from a traffic police background, and they are into cybersecurity. So they totally assess on the knowledge that you have. And yeah, after that, if you are good enough with your knowledge, with your fundamentals, then absolutely you can land into your first cybersecurity job in Australia. That's how I landed one.
Great. That's very insightful. Thanks for Sai. So, education, get into education in Australia, networking, and finally, you have some good experience. If you have in India, then look for an opportunity if there is opening for cybersecurity professionals. Then you apply
Correct.
for that.
And on top of
Absolutely.
it, even once you pass out from the college, do learn some basics, networking and other
Yeah.
information security
Yep.
stuff before trying something on site, because there is always a best route available. We can go then explore again. We can also go there and then explore. Again, you have to go through all this process, right? Instead, if you just put your, keep your basics right, and then you can something to show, right? You have some sort of track record. Yes, I have worked, I have proved myself. At least the entry level job, right? Example, network specialist or security specialist or whatever. Do some basic certifications that itself fit in that particular domain. But that is first thing. The impression whomsoever is trying to recruit you, they will feel that yes, if we give the opportunity to these people, definitely there will be benefit to the organization, also to the same people who is working, right?
Right.
That's really
I think this is one area where rarely people get opportunity as freshers. Everyone looks for experience.
Yeah.
And if you're not giving opportunity, how will people get experience? So it's kind of funny.
Absolutely.
kind of a chicken and egg situation.
Stalemate.
I mean,
Yep,
even I have
yep,
seen,
yep.
I was contacted by multiple people when they say that, I have a fresher, I have a resume, I need you to find a person for them. Right? I always tell people, even once back, we were also a fresher. Luckily, we landed in a job, we got an interview and everything. So day by day, the competition is very high, especially within India. For example, be it a public kind of organization or a private organization, right? Maybe for one role, you have a 10% for waiting, right? Or I'm just telling about the bare minimum, right? For just for one role, you might have seen in that, LinkedIn or whatever it is, right? Even just for experience profile itself, you have a lot of competition, which means how do you, you know, put yourself out of the crowd, right? How do you position yourself out of the crowd? That becomes very important, that you need to showcase and have some sort of portfolio. You need to have some sort of strong understanding, so that that uniqueness within you, the knowledge within you, that is going to stand out from the crowd, and then you will definitely land a job right quickly. So people who are passed out from colleges, always I recommend is like, so just decide what you want to, especially if you decided you want to get into cybersecurity, just do something extra apart from what you have done from your basic curriculum. Do something extra. For example, do some certifications, basic certifications, right? So this prove that yes, you are very interested. That is why you have picked up that certification, right? Nowadays, a lot of the organization provides some sort of free kind of learning materials, right? Especially for those students, especially, right? So you just learn it, and then definitely you will land in a job, maybe some sort of entry level job. And once you get into that entry level job, the growth is completely depends on your capabilities, and how do you up to date and keep yourself up to date. That decides your growth in the organization, right? So that's my view. Sai could
Yeah,
share your view as well.
yeah, my closing thoughts, at least on this subject, is that what our prime minister recently said in one of the podcasts: don't come here with ambition, come here with mission. So that's what, if you paraphrase, don't come to cybersecurity because it's an hot area. Come to cybersecurity, you are really interested in doing something in cybersecurity, because
Correct.
opportunities are vast, and that's my message as well.
Right.
Sai and Solai, end of by your closing thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you know, as we have spoken about, that you definitely need to have that interest. You need to definitely show that interest in some way, right? You need to understand the mission behind cybersecurity. It's not the fancy thing of having putting on a hoodie and sitting in front of system, and as you're watching the movies running, putting some commands and hacking. So you need to understand the actual operations of how cybersecurity works and what cybersecurity is. And that is why we are here. If you really want to know what each domain of cybersecurity is not only hacking. Hacking is a very small part of cybersecurity. It's way, way bigger. So I believe it's time for the aspirants who would want to pursue their dream career in cybersecurity to understand before jumping into it. Don't jump into it just seeing some movies and thinking that it will all be fun. It is fun, but it is challenging as well sometimes. So yeah, over to you, Salai.
Yeah, my final thought for the day is, what Swami Vivekananda said: arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. You have to set the goal if you want to become a cybersecurity. If you want to, grow in any kind of domain for that matter, right? So you need to set the goal to be part of the cybersecurity kind of field, right? Just start with something small and make little by little every day. Learn at least 1 hour on that particular topic. So you cannot eat a single elephant, I mean, elephant in a single day. You need time to get more knowledge on that particular technology. It's not one product, right? So you need to learn multiple things, right? There are a lot of permutation, combinations, and so on. Let's start something small and do it consistently. No one can stop us. That's all from my side today. I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yep. Wonderful talking to you both. As you said, please don't try eating elephant. It's illegal. But the theme
Absolutely.
for the day is baby steps.
We don't want any lawsuits from PETA. It was just a metaphor that Solai used.
Yeah.
Start small, make small contributions every day. Great chatting with you all. Let's connect in our next episode next week.
Yep. This episode.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, guys. See you next time.
Bye bye.